Hello everybody! I'm going to do a very quick little singing tip for you guys today, and I'm going to be talking about your head voice, and let's kind of go through any sort of confusion about head voice and falsetto. So I'm sure there are many people out there trying to understand what the difference is between the two. How do I know that I'm in one and not the other? So I'm just going to sort of break it down and explain the similarities as well as the differences, so that when you are practicing and working on finding your head voice, you will be able to know that you are achieving it. So the the similarities between the two voices are they are both in your upper range, in that higher resonance of your voice, unlike your chest voice, which is in that lower part of your voice. So your chest voice is like your speaking voice. So the voice that I'm using right now is my chest voice. So the similarities between falsetto and head voices, they are both in that higher register. When you are using your head voice, the benefit of using your head voice is that you are able to blend smoothly between your whole range from head voice down to chest voice, and vice versa, chest voice up to head voice. So it's going to sound like this. If I demonstrate it to you on a siren, you're going to hear that nice clear blend, and you're probably not going to even notice where the chest voice ends, where the head voice begins. It's just going to kind of happen quite gradually. Ah. Okay, so I'm going through my whole range, starting in my chest voice, blending up through to my head voice. So that's the benefit of using your head voice. When you're using your falsetto, which a lot of people will tend to do, it's kind of 50-50. People will tend to use falsetto, or they're going to push their chest voice and strain their voices in that way. So when you are having that problem where you're in your higher notes, and when you're singing and you're getting really breathless, maybe even a little bit lightheaded, struggling with breath, struggling with control, and it's definitely not the kind of voice that you can rely on for a long period of time. So I'm not saying that falsetto is a no-no. I think it's a great tool to use, but if you are always going to be in your falsetto, you're going to struggle with breath, control, and pitch. And definitely moving through melody, especially if it's over a large range where you're having to move between high and low. So your falsetto sounds, it's actually the quietest voice we can use. It's very breathy. It'll tend to be quite breathy because we do use a lot of breath in this voice, and actually not a lot of vocal connection, so that our vocal cords are not coming together and not contracting and vibrating how we want them to in a falsetto. And this is why you can't actually blend falsetto into your chest voice. So if you try to, you're going to get a bit of a yodel, or what we call a break, your vocal break. So it might sound a bit like a and there's no sort of blend in there. And even if I was to try and go from chest voice to up into my high range, and I'm actually going into a falsetto, you're going to hear an obvious break even between two notes that are next to each other. Can you hear that? It gets a lot quieter. There's not a lot of stability, and the voice is a lot thinner as well. So the tone in your falsetto is a lot less full, whereas in your head voice, it's still quite a full, rich sound. So you can still get power with it, even though it's not a belt. There's a lot more. There's a lot more sort of brighter tones in there as well. So it's just got a lot more going on, a lot more character in that tone. So those are the main differences between those two voices. Now, if you want to just try a little exercise to help you find your head voice, One of my favorite go-tos is a puppy dog, like a hum, so like a puppy wimp. So it's almost like you're about to cry or really sobby. And I find it really hard to not do without the frown. I don't know about you guys, but I'll get into character. So you can try just doing that. You want to pick some high notes. You don't want to do it like a because that's your chest voice. So that's not going to help you. You want to be up in those higher notes. And what you're achieving there is a healthy, optimal vocal position and shape for a healthy voice. And you're going to be able to blend from head voice to chest voice. So if you want to be able to do vocal runs, if you want to be able to be, even if it's not runs and it's just a melody that starts up high and you need to come down into your chest voice, this is the voice you want to be using. And you definitely want to get strong with this voice. If you are sort of going into falsetto every time that you're up in those highs, you're not going to be able to. Another thing, actually, a big difference between the two is your falsetto, you can't get louder, you can't crescendo, you can't change in your dynamics, you can't change in tone either. So it's just a falsetto. If I pick like a if I try to get louder, it just breaks. Whereas in your head voice, can you hear how there's a lot more going on? I can use vibrato, I can get softer, I can get louder, I can get brighter. I can do so much more with dynamic and tone in my head voice than I can in my falsetto. So that's my little tip for today. Go away, play around with the puppy dogs, play around with those two voices, see if you can find one and the other. And let me know if you have any questions. I'm going to be going a little bit more into depth about your head voice and about how to exercises that are going to help you with it. But until then, enjoy your singing, stay safe, and keep practicing and staying creative. See ya!